Ridley Scott, how the hell do you do reshoots in 2 weeks to make this? That's just... What's going on, guys? Ryan O'Toole back here again, giving you guys another review. Today I'm going to be reviewing one of the most controversial movies towards the end of 2017. A movie that was nowhere near my anticipated radar until I found out who was directing it and all the controversy that's happened with this film. And that movie is All the Money in the World, directed by one of my favorite directors, Ridley Scott, and starring Christopher Plummer, not Kevin Spacey, and Mark Wahlberg and Michelle Williams. This movie tells the true story of Mr. Getty, one of the world's richest men, and the whole story lies around this ransom going on. A ransom has been set that she has to pay $17 million to free her son. Michelle Williams doesn't have that money at all, and so she tries to go to her father-in-law, played by Christopher Plummer, to try to get him to pay this ransom. Now, this movie was nowhere near my anticipated radar until I found out it was directed by Ridley Scott. You know, Ridley Scott apparently had to do a lot of shit to get this movie made. You guys have heard all the news come out. Kevin Spacey was originally playing Mr. Getty, and we know what happened to Kevin Spacey. His sexual harassment claims came out about him, and so they fired him, and so they brought on Christopher Plummer to replace him, and they only had 2 weeks to do reshoots with Christopher Plummer, and we have the new All the Money in the World movie. And Ridley Scott pulled it off. This movie was fantastic. This is one of Ridley Scott's best movies in years. Everything about this movie was really interesting. The performances, the story to this movie, and just the way that it was directed and shot. So let's go straight to the positives. The performances in here are fantastic, especially my favorite performance, Mr. Christopher Plummer as Mr. Getty. He really does transform into this character extremely well. This is one of his best performances to date. He really does a great job of playing this man, also playing the flaws of this man. He's not perfect, and I really did believe it. I would not believe Kevin Spacey to play this character, because honestly, the makeup for him looks awful. Also, Michelle Williams, I have to talk about her now. She was phenomenal in this movie. This isn't her best performance. Her best performance still is Manchester by the Sea, in my opinion, but she was terrific in this movie. She does a great job as this mother, doing anything possible to try to get her son back. I completely bought it. It was realistic acting from Michelle Williams. And Mark Wahlberg wasn't his normal Mark Wahlberg self, but he gives a great performance in the film as well. Something about All the Money in the World that really surprised me was the script. The script was fantastic in this movie. It was really well written. It's based on a true story, and I totally believed it. Many different scenes in this movie happened. Some scenes were kind of but the story really did have a great balance to it. Also, the cinematography to this movie is great. This is one of Ridley Scott's best looking movies in a while. Like, all the camera shots looked great and lush and dark. Ridley Scott, the man is fantastic. One of the best directors working today. The work that he had to do in trying to reshoot Kevin Spacey's scenes with Christopher Plummer and making it work in 2 weeks is just mind-blowing to me. And only someone like Ridley Scott's talents could pull off something like this. And I've always defended Ridley Scott in many circumstances. Like, I honestly think Alien Covenant is extremely underrated. Blade Runner is one of those movies that takes time, multiple viewings to understand it, and Alien's one of my favorite movies of all time. And honestly, my only flaw with All the Money in the World is that some scenes, as I mentioned before, I get some parts were based on a true story. There were some sequences, especially with the kidnappers, like some sequences with them were kind of unnecessary. And they kind of dragged down the story and didn't really need to be in there. In the end, guys, All the Money in the World really surprised me. I really like this movie. This is one of my favorite Ridley Scott movies that I've seen in a while. This movie was brilliantly well acted. Christopher Plummer, Michelle Williams, Mark Wahlberg were all terrific. This movie really is very interesting. You may not like it, but I honestly recommend seeing this movie because I think it's great. On my rating scale, I'm going to give All the Money in the World a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Alright guys, that was my review for All the Money in the World. Have you guys seen it yet? And what did you think of it? Did you love it, think it was okay, or did you absolutely hate it? Let me know down below. If you guys didn't see, a couple days ago, I surpassed 1,000 subscribers. And I made a video recently announcing some certain videos coming up. One of them being another Q&A video. If you haven't submitted me any Q&A questions and you want to, leave your Q&A questions down below on this video and my Shape of Water movie review. Thank you guys as always for watching this review, and if you guys liked it, give it a thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe today for more content. All my social media links are in the description down below. Click that notification bell on your way out, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!